We're stretching our budget with a money saving meal. It's perfect for those of you who want to watch your budget and yet you want an absolutely delicious meal on the table. Now, I'm going to show you how to do it. So, stay right there, get comfy, and let's get started. We're going to put together a hearty crockpot meal tonight. We're starting bright and early in the morning. It's going to be delicious. So pull up a chair because this is a crockpot meal you're going to want to have in your repertoire. It is a chicken stew. And you know, it's great for all those little pieces of chicken that you may have that's lurking in your freezer. You can take those out, throw them in the crock pot, put in the vegetables and all the seasonings and some broth, and you're ready to go. It just so happened that I had 2 chicken breasts that were in my freezer, so I thought, well, I'll put those in here and I'm going to let them cook. I didn't even thaw them. I rinsed them off real quick and placed them in. I also have some potatoes that I diced, and I'm going to put those in. This is so easy and so delicious. I'm going to put our potatoes in, and you can decide what the balance is going to be. We also need some celery, and so I chopped my celery into about 1.5-inch pieces, but that's nice and cleaned and rinsed. We need lots of celery. Okay, and here's one I need to kind of get him diced up a little more. Okay, that's in. And we also need some carrots and onions. I've got my carrots and my onions in. I'm going to pour over that about a cup. This is a cup, and about a 1/4 of cream of mushroom soup. Just going to literally pour that in. Now, in addition to that, we're going to need about the same amount of chicken, either stock or broth, or if you don't have it, add water. We're also going to put in, move that, we're going to add some house seasoning and a little bit of no salt seasoning. Now, our no salt seasoning is basically Mrs. Dash. We're going to put about a heaping teaspoon, and you notice I'm putting it on the soup so that as that soup melts, it's going to take the seasonings down with it. And our house seasoning, I'm going to do the same. That's got our onion powder, our garlic powder, and black pepper. And you know, you can, I'm putting in 1 little teaspoon, but if you need less, you can do less, or if you want more, add more. All right. Now, I'm also going to add in a touch of herbs of Provence. Everyone doesn't like herbs of Provence, but I like to add just a little bit. So let me see if I can get this top off. There we go. Just a little bit. I'm going to kind of mash that in my hands and sprinkle that over. And get that into the pot. I keep some type of stock or broth in my refrigerator most days, but this one I had to open, so that's good. Here's our cup. I add 1 cup for now. Now, if I see later that it needs more liquid, then certainly I can add that as it cooks. I'm going to start this off on high since I'm going to be around for a couple of hours, and then once I see how it's cooking, I may turn it down to low, but I'll let you know when I do that. Press all that down, get all that goodness down in there. And you know, the chicken's going to give off its juices, and it's just going to add to this mix. If you like a little kick and you want to add some cayenne or red pepper flakes, you can certainly do that. I'm not going to do that today. Oh, can you believe that? I'm not going to add those, but I think I have everything here other than parsley, and I'll put parsley in later on. I don't want it to cook the whole time. I'll add parsley in probably about 30 minutes before I get ready to serve it. All right, I've got her set for 4 hours, and I'll bring you back as I add and make changes to our crock pot. I decided for tonight that I was going to put together some biscuits to go with our stew. So we're starting with 3 cups of self-rising flour. I'm going to add just enough heavy whipping cream. I have it, so I might as well use it. And just enough to bring the biscuits together. We're going to get them into a greased cast iron pan and then put them in the oven to bake. We've got our blending fork in place. We have a cup. I'm going to add in the full cup and then start to mix. Now, you know, anytime you're using flour that you want to make sure that you don't overmix. And I am going to be sure to make sure that my biscuits are nice and moist. I can see I'm going to need a little more. So this time I'll put about a half cup of liquid. We don't want to overwork our dough. Oh yeah, I think this may be just about it. We don't want to overwork it, but we want to work it enough that it will come together. Now I'm going to put it out on the board and just continue to layer, and then we'll have them ready to cut. I'm going to sprinkle just a little flour out here on the board, not a lot. And I wanted you to notice the fact that this really is too dry, and I really should have initially added more cream, but I didn't. And so it wasn't until later that I figured out that it wasn't going to come together, that I had to go back, put it all back in the bowl, and add some more cream. My young home cooks, just know sometimes you have to make adjustments. Just so you know, I tried every little trick that I could to keep from having to put this biscuit mix that I had made back into the container, but ultimately it just didn't work. So it had to go back into the container and then add quite a bit more cream to the mixture. Now, you know, I'm going to give you the final instructions down in the description box. Just know that every now and then, baking really is an art and a science, especially. I think what I'll do is just put it back in, just so you know, if you ever are making biscuits and it just seems like they're just too dry, then put them back in the bowl and add your liquid, because you do want them a little moist, not sticky, but you want them moist. I really like for my biscuit dough to feel a little bit like a baby's bottom. You want all of the dough to be hydrated. There we go. That's good. I didn't want to make too much of a mess here on the table. Oh, that's wonderful. That's what I'm talking about. All right, we got enough. I wasn't sure, you know, that's the thing about biscuits. You're not always sure exactly how much liquid you're going to need. It just depends on your flour. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of flour. Let me rinse my hands off and get a cup. Okay. I'm going to keep folding, and what we're doing is that we're making layers. Turn. I'm going to flip it over so it won't be quite so moist. Get it into a square. We're going to fold again. Kind of keeping it light. And I'm not going to use a roller. I'm going to do everything with my hands. Now, this is a little tight, so I'm going to add just a little more flour so that it'll be easier to pick up. Just pat it. Okay. One more rinse. I want these biscuits just a little bit small. So because of that, I'm going to use this little measuring cup, dip it in my flour, and start cutting straight down and up. There we go. That's the first one. It's going to go over here in the pan, and I'll show you the pan once we get everything in. I think I'll just put some flour off to the side that I can dip. The more floured it is, the better your biscuits come out. There we go. You may be wondering why we're making homemade biscuits. And this particular recipe is a 2-ingredient biscuit recipe. And the reason for that is because sometimes you just don't have a lot of ingredients. You may only have the self-rising flour and some type of milk. Now, you can use milk. You don't have to use heavy whipping cream, but that happened to be what I had. Now, here's the thing. When you are learning how to make bread, and it does take a little practice sometimes, and sometimes even those of us who have made them a lot will have a batch that just won't be the way we want it. So never, never give up. But we need to know how to do it, because perhaps the bread at the store may not be available, or you may not be able to get to the store. And to be out really honest with you, it's far less expensive to make your own. I like to use my bench scraper when I'm cleaning up. You'll notice that it just scrapes all the little bits of dough off of my chopping block. And you just scrape it. This particular one that you're looking at is one that came from the Dollar Tree. And at the time that I bought it, it was only $1. And so think about that when you happen to run into Dollar Tree to pick up a pack, because I do believe it came with 2. Our money-saving chicken stew is bubbling away. The biscuits are ready to go into the oven, but it's not time yet. I won't do that until we're about 30 minutes from eating time, because I want them to come out of the oven as we're going to start to eat, so that they're hot, the food's hot, and everything's going to be just right. Now you have an option here. You could take a moment, spread some butter on top, but I was a little leery that the butter might cause them to burn a little bit, because I'm not quite sure about this particular recipe as far as whether it will burn easily or not because we're using the heavy whipping cream. So I'm just going to have to play with this a little bit. But you can certainly slather on the butter once they come out. Our chicken is done, and what I'm going to do is to take those breasts out and get them chopped up so that they're in bite-sized pieces. The nice thing about doing that is that it really stretches this dish, and not only will it feed a family of 4, well, you may be able to even to squeeze it to 6. Now is the time to taste the liquids that are in the crock pot. Also, if you need to add liquid, this is the moment to do it. If you want to thicken the liquids that are in the crock pot, this is also the time to do it, as well as make adjustments to the seasonings. Now that the chicken is back into the crock pot, I see that number one, I need a little more liquid. And second, it needs to be thickened just a bit. So I have 2 choices. I could do a little mashup of some of the potatoes, but what I decided to do was to just make some thickening. So I'm going to use my broth, and I'm going to add a little flour, get that all mixed up, and then I'm going to gently place it into the crock pot. And I'm going to have to stir it well so that it doesn't clump in the mixture. It's time to put those biscuits into the oven while the chicken stew finishes up. I am so happy that you've been with me today here in the kitchen. And first of all, let me just say that our meal today was a money-saving chicken stew. It's going to be hearty, the biscuits are going to be delicious, and your family's going to love all of this, especially because you did it with your own hands and served it with love to them. Now keep that in mind, because that's half the reason why you do what you do. You love your family. So we're going to get these biscuits cooked. We're going to serve up the chicken stew. And I hope if you're not a family member, oh my goodness, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button right now. And hopefully you have enjoyed what we've done today enough that you will hit that like button. And just keep in mind, come back, because we are working on money-saving meals that everyone can use. We wanted to prepare a delicious money-saving meal, and we certainly did that. So I'm going to give you the details as to what it cost. As with most meals, the protein is the most expensive, and that was our chicken breast. But beyond that, we were able to save quite a bit. Now, of course, seasonings I did not add in because we used a minute amount. And when you have an opportunity to pick up seasonings at a good price, then that's what you should do. The biscuits actually cost around $3, and that included the cream as well as the self-rising flour. So in total, you might as well say that we came out to about $12.50 overall. I hope you enjoy these recipes as much as I did. And I hope you enjoyed spending the time in the kitchen because it's always a lot of fun. Now, these recipes are healthy, delicious, easy to make, and you know what? So good for your family. Now, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And don't forget to click that subscribe button if you are not a member of the family. And if you want more healthy and delicious recipes, come back. Be right here to Ebony Ivy Thyme. Thanks for watching and happy cooking.